Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about The Ring. The Ring came out in 2002. The Ring is very special for a lot of people. It was directed by Glenn Verbinkowski. The Ring is very special for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. One, like I said before, it came out in 2002. Now, as you all heard on my channel before, in the late 90s, Scream reinvigorated the genre of horror and slasher. Slasher movies were on a big craze in the late 90s, but after a while in the 2000s, they started to slow down. They started coming out only directly on DVD. The cast were a bunch of newcomers and TV stars trying to make a name for themselves. They didn't really do that well. Then, in the late 90s, they also went back to the whole horror thing. But then American horror was starting to get a little stale at that time. A lot of the teen horror movies that they came out with, all of them just weren't really all that good. Some started flopping. Hollywood needed something new, something fresh, something to reinvigorate because they wanted money. At this point in time, Saw has not came out. The short film Saw came out in 2003. The actual theatrical movie came out in 2004. We were not introduced to that of torture porn. Yeah, that's what they like to call it. But as I like to call it, a bunch of people being trapped in the room and being tortured to death. That has not came in yet. But what did came? Japanese adaptation. Japanese ghost girls. Oh yes. Somebody decided to watch a Japanese movie and it scared the piss out of them. And so they adapted it for the American audience. And in came The Ring in 2002. Now, some say Ringu, which is the Japanese movie, was a lot scarier than that of The Ring. I have no idea. I don't watch it. I don't speak Japanese, but I do listen to Japanese rock music. Baby Metal, Band-Maid, and I forget the other girl's name. I just started listening to them. Love Bites, I think they're called. And Koda Kumi and everything. My favorites. And so, I don't know what they're saying, but they have a nice beat to them. But when it comes to a lot of Japanese, TV shows, movies, cartoons and stuff, I don't watch them in their dub. I watch them in the English dubs because I don't speak Japanese, so, yeah. I did see the trailer for Ringu, and it looks really freaky and a lot different than that of the American one. The ghost girl looks completely different in the American version. They make her look more ghoulish for that of an American audience and everything, and it worked. But if you ever watched the original one, and there's pictures everywhere in the trailer and stuff, her face is creepy. It's just a regular human face that's pale. Almost kind of like black eyes. He has her mouth open in a weird, scary kind of way. Her hair, her fingertips are missing and everything, her fingers, and she's just scratching at the floor as she's coming towards you as her hair is covering her face. It's very long and flowing. It's freaky and it's creepy, but like I said before, I do like the American version of how she looks and stuff. The Ring blew up at the box office. And then we got the craze of other adaptations like The Grudge, which is another Japanese ghost story and stuff. Particularly, I do not like The Grudge. I saw the first one, I just didn't like it. And they made a bunch of other movies. I never saw the other ones because I just didn't like the first one. But boy, it really helped Sarah Michelle Gellar, have a new audience of fans and stuff, because Buffy was over at that time and she really wasn't doing much other than the Scooby-Doo movies and stuff. And so, but then after a while, she left. Not sure why she left and stuff. But then after a while, The Grudge and The Ring were really the only two Japanese movie adaptations that I remember. I don't remember anything else coming out and stuff at that time. But it was very fresh. Now I will say about The Grudge, they decided not to change the appearance of like the Ghost Kids and stuff. They decided to make them look similar to how they looked in like the Japanese version. In fact, I think even the Japanese actress came over to the American adaptation of The Grudge. I think, I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But like in 2002, The Ring scared the piss out of people, which is funny because it's not even really that scary. It's more spooky than it is scary, but it keeps you engaged because it's a psychological thriller. And the thing about it is that when you're watching this and you're seeing the characters experiencing what they're experiencing, the characters are losing their minds, and in a way you feel like you're losing yours too because you invest so much in these characters that you put yourself in the movie. And then that ending twist was like, my God, mind blowing. It scared the piss out of this one guy who watched it. I remember we got like a special screening at my college. When I say it scared the piss out of this one dude in my college, it scared the piss. He screamed, he cussed out loud and everything. And you all know that twist I'm talking about. I'll get to that later in my videos. This movie stars a lot of famous people in this movie, people I've never seen before. It stars that of Naomi Watts as Rachel. It stars David Dorfman as Aiden. It stars Martin Henderson as Noah. Parley Perrette, she has like a cameo in it. Brian Cox. I think after this, he later did the X-Men movie, so I recognized him from that. You know, and I do not know how to say her name. I can't. I just gonna call it Dave Chase. I do not know how to say her name. It's like Daveigh Chase. She plays Samara. Now her name should be very familiar to people because she is the voice of Lilo from Lilo and Stitch and stuff. And it's just like Aiden in this movie. My God, the boy was so creepy in this thing. Like he's one of those creepy Sixth Sense type of kids, you know what I'm saying? And like you felt very disturbed watching that boy on the screen. He played it so well. But then they made the biggest mistake of them all. They came out with The Ring 2. I saw that in theaters. I was so excited for that because I loved the first one. I had the first one on DVD. But The Ring 2 sucked. They tried to build on what The Ring they came up with and everything, and they tried to write their own material because there was no Ring-E-O 2. And so to me, it just wasn't that great. They substituted horses with deers, and then they emphasized the emphasis on water a lot more. Water just rising in the air, and it doesn't understand how they're still cursed because I thought they broke the curse and stuff. And you know, and it's just kind of it just was not good. It just was not good. And they've been trying to make a third one with Aiden for many years. But then they abandoned that. But I heard they're supposed to, I think, make another Ring movie, like a third one, or reboot it or something. I hope they don't. Just leave it alone. I mean, nobody's into like Japanese ghost stories no more because that craze ended with The Grudge. They like exploited that to its extent. Now I remember when I watched The Ring, that was weird. I remember watching it, I'm thinking to myself, those look like Japanese apartments. Why are a bunch of white people living in them in America? I guess they wanted to show, hey, there's a little bit of Japanese influence in the movie, but that made no sense to me and stuff. And, you know, there was something else I wanted to say. Oh, now I remember. The whole movie deals with a cursed little girl who curses other people. See, the whole premise of this whole thing is that there's a very disturbed little girl named Samara. And, you know, somehow she has cursed a videotape. Not sure how. It's never really explained, truly. But she possessed that of a videotape, a VHS tape. Now, I do wonder, if they were to ever make a remake or a reboot or whatever, or a sequel or whatever, or like, how are they gonna do that? Because they have to set it in the modern. They'll have to set it back in like the old days and stuff when people still have VHSs. There's no way they're gonna be able to do that in the modern day setting in 2022, because nobody really has a VHS no more. Nobody really has VHS tapes anymore. A DVD, maybe they could use a DVD. Maybe it could be an app on like the phone, because I did review a movie last year about how there's an app and you watch the app and it like curses you. And yeah, it could kind of work, I guess you could say. It was more like a modern update on like The Ring, but that movie did not do too well. I complained crazy about that movie. I don't remember what the movie's name was, but yeah, I guess you could use like an app. That would be like the more logical thing to do. But then everybody's gonna get their hands on that app. Because think about it. The thing that was so special about this is not everybody's going around getting cursed. It's only people who watch that videotape. And that's it. And so if the videotape isn't getting passed to a bunch of people, then nobody's getting cursed. But everybody can watch a video on the internet, so everybody will be dead. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, maybe you can do it with a DVD, but that would be kind of boring. And maybe you can do it with a flash drive, but once again, that's boring. Because the thing about the VHS tape, I don't know what it is. It just, it made it spookier. You know what I'm saying? It made it more creepy. A VHS tape is big and bulky, you know, and like you can rip the film up and everything, but it's still cursed and stuff. And it just has more of a, I don't know, it just has a great visual to it. You know what I'm saying? An old school visual. So I don't know how you would do that in the modern day. But, you know, but basically what it is that there's a group of kids, young kids, they're out in the cabin in the woods, of course, and they has a bunch of movies there, and they rent one of the movies. And so they think they're watching a movie, but then all of a sudden, all this weird, freaky stuff starts happening in like the video. And then next thing you know, the phone rings, and there's a little girl in there talking about 7 days. And so the group of kids don't know what the heck is going on. But then I think it cuts from that to like a funeral scene, because one little girl ended up dying somehow. And this brings in that Rachel, played by Naomi Watts. She's a reporter, and she's trying to figure out what killed her cousin. Aiden, her son, was very close to his cousin. She used to babysit him and everything. It was like his older sister. And so the family is upset about this, so she starts doing some investigation and everything, you know. She starts talking to like the friends of like her cousin and all this other stuff. One friend is like, I think they didn't watch the video, but one friend committed herself to an insane asylum. And so when she goes and visits that girl, the girl is terrified. She doesn't want to look at nobody. She doesn't want to do nothing. She doesn't want to be in the room with nobody. But she literally tells her, it's like, you know, like I think she visits the girl. She visits the girl after she goes to the cabin. So she tells her, like, you know, it's weird. Like, the girl knew she watched the tape. She knew that Rachel watched the tape, right? Because when Rachel went to the cabin, she decided she's going to spend the night in the cabin, the same one that her cousin did. She rented the same video her cousin did. And when she watched the video, there's a lot of creepy imagery on there. A lot of creepy stuff. There's fingers wiggling around the box. There's a lady combing her hair. There are like horses. There's a fly. It's a lot of weird stuff. And so when Rachel sees it, she's like, okay, whatever. But then she gets that phone call, you know. And so as Rachel's, like, you know, going about her day, still investigating, a lot of weird stuff starts to happen to Rachel. She starts to see things. She starts to have visions and stuff. When she's watching something on, like, I don't know what they call them, old things in the library, but it has like a screen and there's like a fly on there. And for whatever reason, she touches the fly and pulls it off the screen. But the fly was literally like, it was part of the video and everything. and she pulled it through. And then so you think this is all real, but then she turns to somebody, it's all fake, and her nose is like bleeding and stuff. And you know, the thing about this cursed video, it causes a lot of weird side effects on you. You start to, like, when you look at a picture, people's faces look blurry and everything. Your face starts to look blurry, and like, you know, those that are cursed, their faces look blurry on like photos and like videos and stuff. um there's a huge emphasis on like horses. Like when she went and got like a ferry and she went to go visit like a home, um a horse tried to escape, tried to attack her, and fell off the ferry and then got shredded through like the things below. Now when she went to go visit her cousin's friend in the sane asylum, she literally tells her like, you only have like 4 days left. Somehow the girl knew, because the girl somehow knew she watched the video. And so like Aiden, he's like a really weird kid. Like I said before, like he watched the video and Rachel is disturbed by this. But before Aiden watched the video, Rachel had her ex-boyfriend watch the video, Aiden's father. And Aiden doesn't know that's his father. Well, he does know, but the dad doesn't think he knows. Anyway, so Rachel is supposed to take to like the baby daddy. And the baby daddy is starting to experience some weird things. And Rachel is starting to experience some more weird things. She's drinking water and long strands of hair comes out her mouth. She's pulling, and it's like at the end, it's like this little clip type circle thing. And so like she's telling like the baby daddy, he's now starting to believe her, because every time he takes a picture of himself, his face is blurred in that picture. And so when Rachel comes back home one day or whatever, she sees her son like watching the video. She's horrified. She tosses the video underneath, like, you know, where the TV's at. And then at some point in time, Rachel does make a copy of the video and stuff. And so, because she's keeping it in case something happens to like the real one. And then, because like with the real tape, she smashes it and tears it up. And the phone rings and she tells the person on the phone, leave my son alone, and blah, 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 and stuff like that. Because she thinks it's the little girl talking about 7 days. And then that's like the boyfriend. He informs her, or the baby daddy, he informs her, he believes her. And she's all like, our son, he watched the video and blah, 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 and stuff like that. So they're both doing the investigation thing. Aiden's acting creepy. He's drawing dead people and everything. He drew his dead cousin a week before she died and everything. The thing that also freaks you out, that calls you that crazy, you start scratching people's faces out on photos and you don't realize you're doing it. You're making like black scars going all around, like scratch marks going all around paper, and you don't realize you're doing it. It's this weird psychological imagery that freaks the audience out. Like you have no idea what's going on, but you know in 7 days somehow you're gonna die and everything. And so like Rachel at some point, she goes to like this like old town and she visits like these people, and she visits this man who had like horses and with his wife and everything. And so she starts to bring up Samara and he doesn't want to talk about it. And then she talks to like one of the people in town, and the lady's kind of freaking her out and confusing her and telling her, you know, like when they adopted that girl, weird stuff started happening. But as soon as that girl left, like everything was calm and everything. So at some point, Rachel sneaks into like the man's house and she watches like a videotape of old home movies, and you know, and so the man comes in and he's all like, you know, knocks Rachel in the head, and she's all like, what did you do to that little girl? You killed her, didn't you? And like, your wife and blah blah and your child. And the man's all like, I have no child. And he's all like, but that girl, all the images she shows you, like they burn into your head and all this other crap. And next thing you know, he electrocutes himself in the bathtub. He doesn't want to deal with it anymore, because he said for so many years he thought it was all over until Rachel came around snooping and everything. And so like he knew that the visions would never stop and this would never end. And so he kills himself. And so at some point in time, her and the baby daddy, they go to like the house where, like, you know, they had Samara in the barn. They kept her there locked up. Because when the weird stuff started happening, he literally locked little baby Samara, a little girl Samara, like in the barn with all the horses. Samara couldn't sleep and blah 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 blah. And Aiden literally tells his mom that the little girl talks to him in his head. She somehow she can't sleep because the horses and blah blah blah. So in a way, Rachel and baby daddy think they're gonna rescue Samara. They go into the barn. They break open the wood because a lot of weird stuff led them to something. So they break open the wood. There's a well. Rachel falls into the well. She sees Samara. She rescues Samara. And Samara just like dies in her arms and everything because she looks like a normal girl until she starts corpsing and rotting away into like bone. And it's gross and it's nasty. And so then they call the police and they're gonna bury Samara and everything. So now they're like, woohoo, we saved the day and everything. 'Cause she just wanted to get out that well and blah, blah, blah. And so now baby daddy and baby mama, they're like kissing again and trying to get back together for like the son and everything. And so then when she goes home, she tells Aiden, yo, woohoo, we're superheroes, man. We saved the day. Like we saved Samara and everything. And the son's like, what the world are you talking about? And, and Rachel's like, well, what are you talking about? He's all like, you're not supposed to free her and everything. And he tells her something, and then his nose starts to bleed. So they know the curse is not over with yet. And then, of course, the baby daddy, his 7 days are up and everything. And Rachel and Aiden, they're in the car and they're trying to rush to the baby daddy. And this is when the twist of all twists comes. The TV just starts coming on like out of nowhere, and it's like a circle ring around it. And then next thing you know, we see Samara near the well and everything, and she comes out the TV. Freaks that man out, freaks the audience out. It was awesome. It was amazing. American audience has never seen nothing like that before. It was the selling point of this movie. When Rachel goes into the house, she is disturbed to see what's his name's baby daddy's face. We don't get to see baby daddy's face, but at some point we do. Do like a montage. His face is contorted and everything. It's twisted. It's turned. It looks the way it does in those blurred pictures. Somehow that's how the curse kills you. It rearranges your face and your insides and all this other crap. And so like Rachel is like at the house and she tells Aiden, you go to your room. Oh no, wait, this is when she smashes the tape. So she didn't smash it early, she smashes it then because she's freaking out and she's all like, leave my son alone and all this other crap. But she realizes something. Why is baby daddy alive? I mean, I'm dead. Why is baby daddy dead? But Rachel is still alive. And Rachel watched the tape before baby daddy. And she realizes something. She made a copy of the tape and everything. So she has Aiden make a copy of the tape. They both watch it together. They both hit the record button at the same time. And so they have to rewatch the tape. They have to record it. And then Rachel gets rid of the tape by like, I guess like mailing it to like a random person or something like that, kind of like chain mail. And Aiden asks her, well, what's going to happen to the person who watches this tape? And it ends. And Rachel, she knows what's going to happen. That person's going to watch the tape. They're both going to be freed of the curse. And then somebody else is going to be cursed. And so it was perfect. It ended in that way. It ended in a way where the good people did a bad thing so they can live. And knowing that this curse will keep living on like chainmail and stuff. But then the second movie ruined all that. But this was a cool movie. It was freaky. It was disturbing. It was something new that the American people and Western people never seen before. And, and I like that. I like how they, adapted another country's property and, made it into something really cool, unique, and interesting and stuff. And then they killed it because they got greedy with sequels and stuff. Same thing with The Grudge. I don't know, like maybe if they remake it, hopefully they'll remake it back in the day when they have VHS tapes, because if they do like an app or a DVD or a flash drive, it's just not going to have that same appeal to it, So it turns out they did make a third Ring movie. It was called Rings, and it didn't have nobody from the original movie except for the demonic version of Samara. It didn't do so well. Also, Dark Waters was the third Japanese American remake off of like Japanese ghost stories, and it didn't do well. The maker of The Grudge said he wants to make a crossover between Rings and The Grudge. Please don't. That wasn't that spooky. All right. Well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.